Good morning, Card Community. It's RJ back with another video, so let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day. I had mentioned stopping at my LCS a couple weeks ago, pick up that great $5 binder, if you recall. Also picked up a couple other things, one of which was this awesome book called Phillies Past and Present. Whoever bought it originally bought it at Five Below, probably for $5 on the aisle where nobody had purchased their books. Guess what originally went for $25. Anyway, the reason I call this a Mike Schmidt item is because you can see up here, Mike is featured right on the front cover. And anytime a book has Mike on either the front or back cover of that book, I'm going to want to have it in my collection. So obviously this is just a pictorial history of the Phillies, you know, text and pictures all about Phillies current and former. I do not recognize this guy. I believe he was part of the 1915. Well, I recognize him, but I can't remember his name right now. 1915 World Series Championship team. This is one of the original Phillies from the 1883 team, I suppose. So, cool book for me to have because it's got Mike Schmidt on the cover, but it's also a Phillies biography. So that's awesome. Today's random baseball item of the day in the $5 binder. If you recall me talking about it, there was tons and tons and tons of managers. In fact, I went through all the cards, and here is my manager stack. Sparky Anderson 73 tops on the top right there. That's pretty cool. It's in pretty good condition. Corners are dinged, but I kind of think I might want to send it into PSA, just get it graded. I have a cool Sparky PSA card. I'm not sure if it has any value at all, but it's kind of cool. But what I did get was this card as well. Bruce Bochy, manager of the Padres at the time. This is from 2002. Actually 2003, excuse me. His 2002 managerial record is there, so this had to have been a 2003 card. And I bring this up because it is now 20 years later, and Bruce just managed the Texas Rangers to a World Series title, the first in franchise history. And Bochy is widely considered one of those managers like Dusty Baker who, once they permanently set down their spikes, they will be promptly elected to the Hall of Fame as a manager. So Bruce Bochy, a future Hall of Fame manager card, was included in that set of managers in the binder. So just, you know, thinking ahead for my Hall of Fame binder and who I'm going to have to add and whatnot, you know, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that was my random baseball item of the day. Today's trivia question, sticking with award season, we've been doing Cy Young Award all week. Today's prize, two great pitchers. One, a former Cy Young Award winner and member of the Hall of Fame, Tom Glavine. Zack Wheeler. This, I hope to be a future Hall of Famer and a future Cy Young Award winner, Mr. Wheeler, because he is with the Phillies. These two cards are from last year's Topps Archives product. Tom Glavine and Zack Wheeler. That is your prize. If you can answer me this question. It's been all about Cy Young Awards, like I said this week. Final question. Name for me any team, any franchise that has never yet had a Cy Young Award winner. Now, I will tell you this. I'm not going to tell you if there were any. If there aren't any, you could say there were zero. If they've all won it, you could say zero. If there are multiple teams, just pick one. Just name me one team that has never had a Cy Young Award winner, all right? So email me the correct answer. I will include my email in the description below, along with the repeat of that question. You will have today and tomorrow to answer, and we will pick a winner on Sunday, all right? So good luck to everybody on that. So today, it's a forgotten Hall of Famer. Give me a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera around, and we're going to talk about today's forgotten Hall of Famer. So hang on a second there. So today's forgotten Hall of Famer is one Ross Middlebrook Youngs. Who is Ross Youngs, you may ask? Some of you may know, some of you may not. Here's a card from the Common Collection His Hall of Fame card shows his career stats on the back. He played from was the years 1917 through 1926, so only 10 years, which is the minimum to be elected to the hall, to be part of the Hall of Fame. Here's one of those older cards I picked up the other day in my in that $5 binder of Ross Young's. I'm going to tell you a lot in the coming slides about Ross Young's, but let me whet your appetite with this this little tidbit. Many of you know John McGraw, a great Giants manager of the turn of the century, turn of the last century, or the first century, from the 1800s to the 1900s. That turn of the century, John McGraw was manager of the Giants up until the mid 1930s. And he had a lot of Hall of Fame players on his teams, most famously Christy Mathewson, but he was also the manager when Carl Hubbell came up. He had Rogers Bresnahan, Rube Marquard, Frankie Frisch, Travis Jackson, a host of fantastic ball players, legendary Hall of Famers, Dave Bancroft, that were his players. And it is well known in baseball lore that to his dying day, John McGraw had two pictures on his wall at all times. One was Christy Mathewson. The other was Ross Young's. So who was Ross Young's, and why was he so beloved by John McGraw, and why is it that we don't know much about him? Stay tuned and I'll enlighten you real soon. Ross Middlebrook Youngs was born on April 10th, 1897 in Shiner, Texas, the second of three sons. His father was a maintenance supervisor on a railroad until a track accident left him unable to continue in that endeavor. His parents moved to San Antonio when Ross was 10 years old. He was a very athletic boy and excelled in all sports. In 1915, Youngs enrolled in the West Texas Military Academy for his senior high school year and excelled at all sports at that level as well, especially excelling at baseball. During the summer months, he actually moonlighted playing for various professional teams in the low-level Texas League area around that time, and he got noticed by one of the managers who reported him to John McGraw. McGraw sent his chief scout, Dick Kinsella, to check out Youngs, who reportedly responded with the simple two-word phrase, "grab him," which they did, buying his contract from the minor league team for about $2,000. Youngs was only 19 years old, not yet 20, when he reported to spring training with the Giants in 1917. Youngs left spring training that year and reported to Rochester for a season in the minors in which he hit .356 in 140 games for the Rochester Hustlers, second in that league. That earned him a September call-up with the Giants, who were on their way to a World Series appearance with the White Sox, which they lost. Ross was not qualified to appear in the World Series because he had not been with the team long enough. In 1918, the Giants began by spring training in San Antonio, and Ross hit well from the beginning, likely because that was his home base. He made the team right away and was the Giants' starting right fielder from then on. He finished the season hitting .302 and actually had a 23-game hitting streak in July. Ross was becoming an absolute hitting star. 1921 was the first of 4 consecutive pennants for the New York Giants. Ross hit .327 for the season, and they faced the World Series of the New York Yankees versus the New York Giants, what was highly billed as a war against types of baseball, the old school New York Giants hit and run style versus the current Yankees hitting home runs over the fence at all costs style. In the last year of the best-of-9 format, the Giants went on to take the series in 8 games. Ross batted .280, but drew 7 walks and had an on-base percentage of .438. He also contributed defensively, making a spectacular running catch of a deep drive by Elmer Miller in Game 6. In 1922 and 1923, Ross hit over .330 each year as the Giants squared off each year against the Yankees in the World Series. They were able to defeat the Yankees again in 1922, but fell to them in 23, with Ross hitting over .350 in each series, although he could not keep up that torrid pace, and his average fell to .185 as the Giants were defeated in 1924 by the Washington Senators. By this time, Ross was considered the best right fielder in the National League at the time. He regularly hit over .330, played spectacular defense, and again was constantly in the World Series with the Giants. However, starting in 1925, his production began to slip. He was regularly ill, sometimes in and out of the hospital, and had flashes of brilliance still, but there was something nagging at him. Ross Youngs died on October 2nd, 1927. He was 30 years old. He succumbed to Bright's disease, a then fatal kidney ailment, leaving behind a wife and young daughter. At his funeral service, a 2-mile procession followed his hearse, and it is said that nearly 12,000 people attended. For his career, Youngs had an average of .322 and batted 1,491 hits in 10 seasons, primarily of which only 8 were full seasons. So if you could extrapolate that over to a full career, it is quite impressive the numbers he put up, and it's easy to see why he was considered a Hall of Famer, which he received in 1972, and one of the greatest outfielders of all time. So I hope you enjoyed that little bit of biography, a little bit of story about Ross Youngs. I'm going to put up one more time his Conlon collection card there. Let you guys take a moment to read that as well. He was a great outfielder, really was a fantastic hitter. One of those guys who just came to the park every day and did his job. There wasn't any scandal. There wasn't any... the newspapers didn't have a lot to write about him. It was kind of like Lou Gehrig in that way, although Lou Gehrig was mythical. I'm not sure why, if you think about it, Lou Gehrig played for the Yankees. That's one of the reasons he attained such fame, dying young. But he also had almost a full career. Ross died a lot younger than Lou and played a lot fewer games and seasons. So that's one of the reasons Ross didn't, warrant the same consideration. He was actually voted on in the first year of the balloting of the Hall of Fame in 1936. He came in like 22nd, and then just kind of fell away, being forgotten at the time until a lot of people pushed for his election. And the Veterans Committee, when they did elect him in 1972, voted him in unanimously. It's kind of like the snub that Fred McGriff had gotten so many years when everybody knew he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. And when his name was finally added to the Veterans Committee this past year, he got unanimously selected by the Veterans Committee. So anyway, that is Ross Youngs. I hope you enjoyed that little biography snippet. Don't forget the trivia question. Again, we'll be picking the winner on Sunday on that. I want to thank everybody for watching my little videos. If you enjoyed that, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that jazz. See you again on Sunday, all right? Take care.